Hello. Today I'll be going over some of my old stuff here, and this is what I'm working on right now. But I'm not gonna spoil too much. Okay. Let's start with this, and let's zoom in more. Mm, That's about right. Okay, so this is my first PDF, or yeah, whatever. And there's some things that I have in here that I didn't have in other stuff, like this part, and adding cosmos noitos, cosmos aesthetos in the Pythagorean tetrad, or the tetractys. I'm not sure if I said that right, but whatever. And I never went over these before on video, and just you could just take it in, and some of them are self-explanatory, some of them are not that self-explanatory, and yeah, this part, yeah, nobody gets this part. Nobody talked about this part. Nobody bothered to ask what is this. Well, this spiral right here, this is inverse um, the inverse Archimedes spiral, and the bigger spiral is the space occupying, or the, how do I say, the space left behind by the inverse Archimedes spiral. And basically the inverse Archimedes spiral is external to the one here, and so it starts from one revolution, but it goes outwards by negative increments of 1/5. So if this is 5, this will be 1/5, but it'll be reduced by increments of 1/5 indefinitely. I just capped the limit over here because at this point the space, rotational space left behind is a 4. And so 4 plus square 5 to the square root of -3 is 4.2606, which is 5 to the power of +3. So 4.23606, 4.23606. So all of these are equal to 1 revolution angular wise. And so the inverse Archimedes spiral, or spiral, will never reach another full revolution after it goes outwards from itself, and it leaves it behind an image, or the image of an image, you could say, behind it, which is up to this point it's a 4, but it gets smaller, like the if the expands simultaneously at like increments of 5, the the angle of which it travels indefinitely is by negative increments of 5 to the power negative 1 or 1 over 5. So yeah, that's the secret to this. And I made this image long time ago. Ignore this part. This was a dud. But you gotta make duds to come to know and refine your own work. And yeah, this is a very cool image, but really hard to explain this. The color is very intentional here, the color scheme that is tied to the right here. And what else to talk about? Yep, you could just pause and see for yourself. And okay, so Ken Waiter had originally in his PDF he had you get thought in this order, so I made things in that order. However, Ken Waiter later had you get the starting from here. You get the clockwise instead of being clockwise, but starting from the bottom right hand side of the 2 pointed up pentagram. So, anyways, let's move on. That was the first edition, so to speak, of the grand unified field theory. However, I only made technically 3 editions and moved on to another name because it gets boring by using the same name but add in another kind of thing to it. And okay, wouldn't let me go beyond that. Oops. Oh, let's start with this anyways. Yeah, it's a big image, the original image. I'm just gonna do that and slowly come in. And this part is kind of hard to convey. This part is wrong. These two are flipped in a sense, but anyways, some of this is self-explanatory. These values are dealing with the angles of the angular phi based pentagram. Let me just hold on. Going a little bit more, yeah. Okay. And here's the here's Ken Weider's system. I tried my best to make it according to his specifications in his book, and I don't agree with it, which is why um, well, for now, over here is as close as I could get it. Oops. Oh boy. Uh, Let me zoom out. Okay. So this is how Ken Weider, as I could have interpret his work the best to my ability. So the ether, the dielectric ether, is represented at this angle, going outwards, and and 5 to the power negative 3 going inwards towards nothing. Well, no thing, but you know. So this stuff, this is pertaining to this, I think, and this pertain to this, and the track decoy is right here. It's the diamond shape. That is an inverse image of the, or it is a pseudosphere, but double-sided. So I got thinking 3D for that, and so the hyperboloid of one sheet is, you gotta think of it like that. It's really hard to convey with a mouse cursor, but yeah, the two sheet is like this, like this. I haven't really conveyed it well in this image, but I conveyed it well in another image, and using the proportions that Ken Weider have recommended in his or is not recommended but intuited that the Platonic form of the geometry of matter and all etheric field geometry converges towards. So this is the charge, and this is the discharge, and this is the point of no return, so to speak. I've gone over this in a previous video, so I'm not gonna get into it too much. So this is it's really self-explanatory if you really think about it, which not much of you think about it, and it also makes sense if you read Ken Weider's book. So don't just rely on this as the means to understanding everything, okay? And this stuff, oh boy, I might get into it later, but it's the Riemann sphere with points of positive infinity, negative infinity, and 1 as a 0. And it's the 45-degree angle and all that. So this is square root of 2 over 2. So this is tied to the complex plane in a sense, which I made this like last year or something, so I've known about this for a while. So anyone who says that I never thought about the complex plane before, they don't know what they're talking about actually, because the Riemann sphere itself uses the complex plane as a three sphere. So yeah, if I made it an unconventional use of a negative infinity as zero, it's still valid, generally speaking. And moving on to well, the third and a quarter edition, which I didn't release, or I don't think that I released, but okay, just zooming in. This image is really huge, so oh, it's oh, went in too much. Let me zoom out instead of zooming in. Okay, let's just leave it. That's that for now. You can't really make out the text, so okay. Now you can see most of it. And much of it is the same as before in the second edition, but conveyed in a slightly different way. I have simplified this part, used um, showed it like this. Add a false fourth hypostasis over here instead, and showed it as this. So mode, mind, magnitude, matter, and man, and which is represented over here as well. Yugitha, Hygeia, Eide, Therma, Hudro, Gaia, Idea, Therma, Air, which is over here as well. So this is how I generally see what Ken Witter is trying to say in synthesizing Pythagorean, Platonic, Neoplatonic systems into one system, and this is how I imagine what he is trying to geometrically convey, since I'm a visual learner, which is kind of the point behind making this, which is for myself, because I'm more of a visual learner, sort of, although I'm okay at dialectic, well, mentally at least. It's much better if it could be geometrically conveyed or expressed. If it cannot be geometrically conveyed, it cannot be physically understood. So this isn't conventional geometry, which is the point here. And I borrowed some of the stuff from the second edition into this one with some slight edits. This is just a magnetic field of the idealized the idealized proton, but without the charge radius. Although you could kind of see it, it's also not there. So without it, there's no beginning or end that could be found within the proton as the electromagnetic field. So without the magnetodielectric components, you will not understand matter, basically. I've covered this before. So this is what it looks like with magnetic and dielectric components. And this I got some things wrong, some things are right, but some things are still wrong. This thing deals with the circumference of the circle, but I didn't explain it in this time when I made this, so let me just zoom out a bit. Oh, did it again. Okay. Okay, so I have the hyperboloid here, I have the torus here. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Oh no, I've done it again, did I? Yep, there it is. It happened again. I'm doing this on my browser because currently I don't have a good alternative for an image viewer that works with big images, so bear with me. And I don't really like, okay, it happened again. I don't really like image magic, even though I should get used to that, and I still haven't. And this is wrong too. I got this switched. And okay, this actually, I actually got it from someone else, but I never really understood the proportionality of it, and I got the proportionality of it in this edition, but not the second edition. I got some of it wrong in the second edition, but anyways, here's the unfolded phi pyramid with juxtaposed upon the sphere and the dodecahedron in this proportionality. Right, and this is based off of Ken Witter's Aurea Sapientia, except he got the proportionality wrong, so I made it right. So this is 5, as in the number 5 being, and this is itself a phi. So this, in relation to this, it's a 1 over here. So 1 over 5 leads to 5, or 1 over 5 to the power negative 3 leads to 5. So the erasure of this is meant to return here and to not identify it as this, which is the boundary of becoming, which is to not be crossed over from here to here, but it is to be crossed over through the destruction of the identification with this. So it's the inversion of totality as the means to return to the 1. So 1, 1, 1, and 0.23606 is 3.23606, which is 5 to the power negative, 5 to the power of positive 2 when multiplied. No, it's 2, 5. No, 2, 5. Tongue twisters. So 2, 5. So 5 times 5 leads to 2.618, which is 5 to the power negative 2, but, well, not 5 to the power negative 2, but 5 to the power of 2. So that is what is being represented here. But over here, it doesn't make sense at that point because that doesn't add up to 1. This doesn't add up to 1 technically, but in relation to this, it does. So, since this is a 1 and this is treated as 5 as becoming, in relation, this is 1. Alright? If that made sense to you, congratulations. Okay, so this part is in relation to this here. Oh, yeah, I made a typo here. I'm not sure. Whatever. It doesn't matter. This part. I explained it in the... Or did I explain it? Ooh. Well, anyways, I try to copy or represent what Ken Wilder has done in his Aurea Sapientia graphic, which I didn't admit to not doing that. I always said that, which, well, at least among those that talk to me, which none of you do, well, except for one person, but that one person has a busy life right now, so he's not talking to me anymore. And now, never got into this, but this is really important, and I might get into it later in the future. Oops. Yeah. I really like this image, basically. So, in the surface, it's going inwards, right? Okay, so the magnetic is red, the dielectric is blue, the inertial, or the electrical, I guess. Yeah, you could just say electrical. The electrical is green. So the yellow is in relation to the magnetic field going inwards and outwards, and the cyan is related to the dielectric field going outwards from the inward side and inwards from the outside. And the magenta in the outer and the inner is representing the electrical shell. Yeah, not electron, but electrical shell. Okay. And let me zoom out a bit. At this point in time, I haven't gotten into explaining this, but in a later video, maybe today, or in this video actually. Oh wait, yeah, in a later video I explained this, but my bad. Oh boy, this is. I've explained this before, did I? Yeah, I did. So let me move on to this one. This is version 1.625, or 1 and 5 over 8. So then it should show up in a PDF, but I mean in a PDF viewer, the thumbnail in the left hand side, but it doesn't on here, which is too bad. Well, anyways, this is an updated version. I have it uploaded in the same article with the previous version, and I've changed things a bit more than previously. I added much here, removed some here to make it more consistent overall. I moved the H2O part over here. I used gray, and the Archimedes file is more accurate. I made it more accurate so that it'll look aesthetic. Some more stuff over here. Some of them make sense. Some of them would make sense if you stared at this. Lots of stuff here. Idols as unity over on, as my Mises Hyle, duality over Zoe, Psyche over equal, Peras, Perion, Nous unity. This Nous unity is referring to this being Aristos, which this in total is the unified triad, which is this gnosis over agnosis, which could be conveyed in a different way as three henads from a unified henad, but unified triad as three henads, which is 1 and 1 in 1 over Aristos dyad, which this part is Aristos dyad in relation to this one hen, which could be conveyed as logos agathon over ananke. This positive and negative infinity is in relation to this. So this is actually a circle, but as a line, it's being described as the first cut over here, which is also this and this. Okay, which leads to the one and the ineffable, which is, goes back and forth. This ineffable is the aporetos, and the apophasis is the agnosis left behind towards ether of manifestation as it goes upwards, as means for the aristos to return and remain and not emerge but merge with and as none other than itself, as one and one is one, of which this synthesis is through objective negation of the self-identification as the whole, which is excess, as explained. And let me just scroll down. Some of it is self-explanatory. I made this visually pleasing than before. This is the same. This is different. I gotta really see it closely to see what's going on here. So this is more of a visual cleanup that I did. This is the solution, so to speak, as to what was going on in the invisible eye. I made these parts bold so that you'll get what's going on. This is the same, slightly different visually. I fixed the Archimedes spiral so that it was like going like this. It was wider than it was right now, but now I fixed it, so yeah. This part is different, and that's it. This part is the same. Yeah, so that's basically it. And if you guys got any other questions, leave them below. Oh, I almost forgot. Basically, why am I showing you this? Why? The point is, I want you guys to leave some feedback, which you guys never do. Well, except for one guy. That one guy is cool. And the feedback as to like what would you want me to explain or put in more into the next book, because I am still working on adding more pages to this. How did I leave? Okay. Oops, not that. I don't know. I think I'm done here. See you later. What an abrupt end.